I've just come across the most shocking flaw in this Hans Niemann 100% accuracy analysis. So where this all started, a few days ago, a lady called Yosha, she posted a video onto YouTube which analysed Hans's games using the Let's Check analysis feature on Chessbase, and off the back of that there were a lot of 100% games found. Now some of them were really beautiful, of course. There was one of them that I was going to analyse for this video, and that's where everything started for me today. So I went to analyse this game, the one on screen here, so Christopher Yu versus Hans Niemann. This was from 2020, they're both international masters, trying to get their first Grand Master norm, or maybe not their first, or one of them could have been their final, so they're trying to become GMs. So a couple years back, I was going to analyse this game, and as part of doing so, I went to the C Squared podcast, which has Fabiano Caruana on and Christian, and they were going through the moves of this game, trying to look at it from a human perspective. Obviously, Fabi is a very, very strong human, but to look at these moves to see if they looked kind of computerish, and this is one of the games they looked at. And so out of the opening, I'm going to cut to the analysis board here. We get to this position of the Berlin defence on move 6, and here Hans has black, and he plays a move which Fabi said, whoa, that looks weird, but not weird in like a computer way, as in weird just looks bad. And then Christian said, oh, okay, it is some theory here, but there were only maybe 150 games. So if I go to the openings in the chess.com openings book here, you can see that bishop e7 is by far and away the main move here. But what Hans plays is pawn to d6 instead. An inferior move, and as you can see on screen here, I've run Stockfish 15 to depth 46. Like, my computer's nearly died right now because I've got a second position to show you. I've gone down to this depth, and you can see bishop e7, top move, d6, 0.62 advantage to white. So that's a swing of like what, 0.7 of a pawn, bit more, 7.5, well over half a pawn swing with this move. So just a bad move, right? So instantly when I'm coming to analyze this game, I'm going, hang on, I thought this was a 100% accurate game. I mean, that's clearly a big swing and advantage right out of the opening on move 6. But okay, I kind of carried on analysing. Maybe the methodology behind the analysis is that if a move has been played before in the opening, then not such a big deal, whatever. So I carry on with the game, having a look at these moves here, and then we get to this position here, so on move 10. So again, it's Hans to play here, and as you can see, I've run this one down to depth 44, again, Stockfish 15, and now Hans plays the move pawn to h6. As you can see on screen here, that's not even a top 3 move. You've got bishop takes on f5, absolute main move. All the engines are screaming for it. Rook b8, rook a7. Now, not to be disingenuous here, I actually want to show you a quick Word doc. So if I open this one here, if you run this to depth 36, for example, well then pawn to h6 was showing as a top 3 move. So this is how things can change with different depths, right? Different engines, etc. But when you run it deep enough, jumping back to the analysis board here, h6 isn't even featuring as a move. So again, it's like a half a pawn plus swing in a bad way from a move that Hans Niemann's played. So once again, I'm thinking, how on earth can this be 100% accurate? And then I'm next thinking, well, we need to look at the methodology being used here of how they're figuring out this accuracy. So I went back to Yosha's video. I'll just open that one here. I was having a read again of the bit she highlighted of how they figure out this engine game correlation. Now, her camera kind of blocks the right hand side. It's a bit small. So I found it, not here, here. I found the same text here, just kind of Googling it, finding it. And as you can see, it says, this value shows the relation between the moves made in the game and those suggested by the engines, and she calls out the fact that it's engines plural. So okay, the moves made in the game and those suggested by the engines. So it instantly asks the question, well, how many engines are being used? To what depth are they being run? Who's running those engines, etc. And so when I was digging more around this question, I found this Redditor's post. Who's to say it's correct or not, I don't know, but what he says does add up with what I've just found. So just skipping to one paragraph here, obviously you can read this whole thing yourself in your own time, But he mentions here, so ChessBase gives 100% engine correlation score for a game where for each move, at least one of the engine analysis uploaded by ChessBase editors mark that move as the best move. No matter how many different engines were consulted, there are often 10 or 15 different engine analyses, is that how you say that disagree with each other. This method will give 100% to games where no single engine would have given 100% accuracy to a player. So the point being here, if I click now onto this video by Yosha, you can actually see what that guy is saying in action on screen here. So if we look here where it's paused, you can see that move there. Hopefully you can see my cursor. So 10 knight f5 is highlighted. That's what white's just played. Hans then plays pawn to h6. And these are the evaluations of each move, I believe, afterwards. So you can see a massive swing there, a bad move played by Hans. And that's exactly what I saw on the analysis board here when I opened this one up. You know, it's a big swing. It's over half a pawn. So coming back here, you can see instantly not a good move, right? And then when I actually look at what the engines were suggesting underneath here, so all of them are shouting for bishop takes on f5. So unless there's more engine analysis, more lines underneath those that we can see on screen right here, then I don't understand how pawn to h6 is being called as a perfect correlation move with what the engines are suggesting. Because bear in mind, at the very end of this game, Yosha calls out this was classed as a 100% accurate game by Hans. Makes no sense to me. And again, what that Redditor was saying can be shown on screen here. So you can see 3 different engines used. Deep Hierarchs, haven't even heard of that one. Stockfish 15, Stockfish 14. And here after the upload, you can see Dommy Dupe 3, Pacific Rabbit. So these look like usernames to me. And down here, you can see Gambit-man, who's mentioned by Yosha as working with her to kind of get this analysis out. So yeah, the whole thing's just kind of blown my mind here. I mean, for me, I'm not trying to discredit this analysis, but it has to be done right. I think this analysis can be really valuable to show if a player is playing and using engines to support over a period of time. But you need to do it, I would say, with one engine, right? Run it to the same depth, do it for a whole series of top players, do it over a significant enough sample size, and then we can actually analyze that data objectively. Because right now, looking at this, it's just multiple engines being used, multiple depths, and even with that approach being taken, I'm still really confused as to how pawn to h6 is then classed as 100% engine correlation when none of the engines on screen are even calling that move. Completely confused by the whole thing. So I'm going to ping Yosha on Twitter kind of to get her thoughts on this. Not looking to rubbish her or the others that have supported at all. Just would like to understand this a bit more. Yeah, it'd be good to get everyone's thoughts, especially those watching, and Hikaru's as well. He's been analysing all of this stuff. If someone can hit this over to Hikaru to get his thoughts on this, I'd be really interested to see what he has to make of this, because he was going deep on all of this stuff last night. I was watching that video and it seems quite compelling when you're looking at it like that, but I think this really needs to be taken a step back on and done properly if we're going to do this. Anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. I do want to actually analyse this game. I'm going to do that in a follow-up video later today, but for now I'm signing off. Thanks very much for watching and see you soon.